So I recently moved to a foreign country here in the Dominican Republic. And I moved from California. I was living in Oakland near San Francisco. And I've been living in the same apartment for 15 years. And I did not like my living situation. I did not like the city I was living in. I kind of hated it. I didn't really like my roommates that much. Didn't really like living with them. It was getting really bad. I really wanted to move. But still, when I was excited to move, the whole thing, and it wasn't too hard to do, but it was really weird when I didn't really feel nervous or sad at all. I just felt excited. But I think it was the day before I was leaving, or a couple days before, and I really started I had to throw out a bunch of the stuff I had, because I had a lot of stuff there, and getting rid of a lot of it and clearing everything out. And I think I waited until the last 2 days to really do most of it. I remember the first day I started doing it, I felt so emotionally drained, and it was overwhelming almost. And I think the last day it was even worse. It felt so weird. It was so hard to just throw out some of the shit that I had. And I would not have expected that at all. It was a complete surprise. And it made me realize how hard it is to just change little things like that in your life. Even a lot of the stuff I took with me, there is some stuff I mailed to my parents' house, and then after I got there I was just why the hell didn't I just throw this away or leave it? Who cares? I didn't even want it anymore, and I spent all this money shipping some of this stuff over. I even have some stuff with me now in Dominican Republic, and I'm why? I wish I hadn't even taken it with me now, but it was so hard to throw away some of this stuff. And I remember the last day that I was there, and on top of that, I also, some of my neighbors I was very good friends with. I had known them since I first moved there. So that was another thing I was leaving too. And I had a couple good friends. I remember the last day I was there, hanging out with one of my friends, and he was just how are you doing, man? And I had these crazy emotions I was talking about, overwhelming. It felt really bad. And my friend asked me how I was doing, and I told him that, and he knew how I felt. And he told me that because he had recently moved from an apartment he'd been in for a while, and he only moved to the next city over. And he was telling me how hard that was. And he was I can't even imagine what it would be like for you. And it really made me think about, though, a lot of times the most important or the best things we can do for ourselves require extreme change like this. And it made me realize how hard it can be to do this stuff, especially if we've been in the same routine or had the same habit or living situation for many, many years like I had. It is extremely hard to change. It can also, a lot of times the change we need is just in our minds, the way we think about certain things, and that can be super hard to change as well, right? If you take a guy who's 50 years old and he believes that all women are evil and all they care about is money, it's you're probably not going to be able, that guy's probably not going to be able to change his mindset into believing otherwise. It's going to be extremely difficult for that guy to change his mindset at all. Probably no one will be able to do it if he's thought like that his whole life. But a lot of times that change is what we need to better ourselves. With me, I needed to move. And it turned out to be something that was a lot harder to do than I thought. It was super scary. It was not easy. It was very, very emotional. I don't know, it kind of was easy, but then I realized those last couple days that it almost wasn't, or how hard it could be. It was really, really intense. It really surprised me. Well, you think about a lot of people, what they really need to do is have drastic change in their lives. Maybe they're physically unhealthy and they need to completely change their diet and start working out and completely change their lifestyle into a more active lifestyle. That type of stuff can be really, really hard to do. And when I did this move, it just made me realize how fucking hard it is to do this stuff, and how hard it can it probably is for other people to do stuff like this. Or say you're stuck in a job you hate, you've been working this job for like 20 years, like how, and maybe you have good friends at the job that you work with, like how hard is it going to be to quit that job? It's going to be extremely, extremely difficult, especially if you do, you know, maybe you want to quit the job and start your own business or something like that. Like it's going to be very, very difficult, especially if you're in a routine. Like this is a lot of people, like maybe you hate the job that you're in and it's so draining emotionally that when you come home, all you can do is just do things like to cope with the pain. You know, maybe you just smoke weed or you just want to watch TV or play video games, and it's like almost impossible to not do that because of how draining the work is, and you just need these things to like cope with the pain. And it's like, how can you start up a new habit of where maybe you need to start up a side hustle as starting a business, and maybe you need to start working on that an hour, 2 hours a day. It's like when you're emotionally drained and you've gotten into these habits and you don't have that motivation or those up front of those good feelings, it is so hard to make changes like that. But I'm telling you, it's like the number one thing that you need to do. Like if you want like drastic improvements in your mood or in just in any aspect of your life, probably you're going to have to make these drastic changes in your life, whether it be mentally or whether it be a physical change, like changing your job, maybe getting a divorce or moving to a different location, getting rid of maybe friends that are toxic and are not good for you. Any of this stuff, it's extremely, extremely hard to do, but it's like the most important thing to do for yourself, the best thing that you can possibly do for yourself. And the worst part is there's not really any advice or tips that I can give you that can help you make the change. Like it's just, you just have to do it. You just have to realize that it's something you need to do, and hopefully you can come up with the mental fortitude, the motivation, whatever you need to do in order to actually make that change. You know, maybe there's a tip like you could do a little bit at once. Like I guess one tip I could give is when making goals or habits, like I don't like to make a goal like, okay, I want to make $100,000 a year, especially if you put a time limit on the goal. For me, I found that's really bad. Like, oh, I want to make 100 grand a year in 2 years from now. I remember I read a book that told me to do that, and I did that, and then I didn't meet the goal, and it just kind of makes you feel bad. How I like to see goals or set them is like, so say you want to start a business on your own and you have a job. What I would say is just, or actually a better example, let's say you want to start exercising. I wouldn't advise you to have start by working out an hour every day or even every other day. What I would advise you is just to work out for 5 minutes and start doing that every day, and just make that your goal, or do it every other day. And maybe your workout could just be walking around the block, maybe just doing maybe all you do is you just do 20 sit-ups in a row. When you wake up in the morning, that's all you do, 20 sit-ups. That's a super easy habit to make. You do that for a week straight, for 2 weeks straight. Then you add in 5 push-ups in with the routine. And then you do that for a while. Then you add in some squats. That is a super easy way to start a routine and to start a goal. If you want to start a business, you can do the same thing. First thing you could do is every day when you get home from work or whatever at night, take 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and just start researching ideas. Just start looking online, looking on YouTube for different business ideas or something that gets you excited or something that seems like you could like it, and just start doing that. And eventually build up to the habits where every day you're taking an hour out of your day and working on that. And the thing is once you build up, once it becomes a habit, you do it for a month or 2 months, it's actually extremely easy to keep doing it. It's actually very hard to break the habit at that point, even when it's a good positive thing that you don't feel like doing a lot of the time, like working out. Even once you get in the habit of something like that, it's actually very hard to break the habit. It's easier to keep it going, just like it is with a bad habit, like something that's bad for you that's easy to keep going. That's kind of the only, that's maybe the only tip I can think of to give right now. But the main thing is, if you need to make change in your life, you want something to change in your life, you're going to have to change as well. And a lot of it might just be your mindset. Like there's a one course that I bought that teaches how to like buy and sell blog type of websites, and also how to kind of build them from scratch. But a lot of the course and a lot of the like sort of weekly or monthly videos that the owners of the course put out, a lot of it is just actually trying to convince the people to like change their mindset from the mindset of an employee to an entrepreneur. And a lot of it is just changing their mindset and their thoughts and how they think about money. And that's so much of it. And I get it. And it's because like even in business, like the main thing that holds people back is their mindset. At least with 99% of people, I think that's what it's going to be. And your mindset can actually probably even harder to change than things in like your physical surrounding. Like moving is probably easier than completely changing the way you think about money or think about whatever it is in your life. It can be extremely, extremely hard to do, but like I'm saying, it can be the most rewarding thing that you can possibly do for yourself.